Welcome to today's show. We're joined by Nik Walker from Co-op. Nik is in a typically modest leader in a big company, in a big role, and we're hearing all about his technology interests, his neurodiversity interests, and him as a leader and what the future looks like as technology for data leaders. So without further ado, let's dive in. Hello, Nik. Welcome to the show. Absolute pleasure to have you on. I'd love to dive into everything about how we met and your interests and of course where you work and how you got into data and technology. It's tons and tons to cover. So why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit about your role and what you do?
Yeah, cheers, Aaron. Nice to be here, man. So I'm a head of data engineering at Co-op at the moment. I have a team of engineers who do kick-ass data work. Shock horror. We build cool pipelines, building new platforms, delivering cool insights, and supporting data science and that kind of great stuff. I describe myself as a human-centric leader. So this is a focus I have on treating people as individuals. It's a counselling process of very focused on individuals, not just their development, but in their support and where they want to go in their career, what they want to do, how to do it, and basically making sure people are doing the right things. My background, I didn't even go to university. I fell into data in the most biblical of ways. 50 seems to be quite a common thing for many of the leaders in data at the moment to not have been to university. Maybe it's because it was a bit more meritocratic 10, 15 years ago when we fell into it. But I fell into data.
Changed, actually? Do you think there's now like everyone coming through university thinks it's a
I've got some quite strong opinions on the notion of productionization of data by people with MBAs who've turned what was once a bit of a startup culture could actually get loads of stuff done into basically the slowest, most laborious process known to man because it's got to focus on value. But yeah, it's always one of those things.
Well,
It's
I
a
definitely think we
balance.
should get into that. That is the whole point. And you are typically modest in your you're in a big role. You're not just like, a little company. Co-op's massive. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Co-op? I mean, everyone watching might not be in the UK, might not actually know who
Yeah, for
Co-op
sure.
is.
Yeah, for sure. So Co-op is, as it probably sounds, it's cooperative. We are a company of 55,000 people covering everything from retail. So anyone in the UK probably knows who they are because they've seen the stores. And there's the retail side, there's logistics, insurance, biggest funeral care provider in the UK. There's some people remember the old bank. That's not part of us anymore, but it's a brand that people remember. There's schools up north. There's like 14 academies or something like that. It's just the more, the more and more you find, like the more and more I find, people are like, "Hey, can we do this thing?" And I was like, oh, "What's that for?" It's all for schools. Sorry, schools? What? Like I've been here 18 months and I keep finding more things. When it's an organization that's 1800s it started as a full-blown cooperative movement. It's been wholesale communities, it's all sorts of things that's gone through massive change. It's this gigantic organization.
And I think that was one of the things that fascinated me most when we were chatting. Because of that legacy, and I'm talking about it's made such a big impact on the country. It's been around such a long time.
Yeah.
There's clearly going to be a lot of history in the company and a history of technology and a history of innovation. In a weird way, they might actually be the forefront of some things, but then really you're really far behind in others. In corners of the business. I wonder where you see it. Like if you look across the sort of estate that you have.
There's brilliant things. I talked to a sister team that sits next to mine, data science. They're doing some absolutely crazy things. LLMs, AI, all the stuff you go on LinkedIn and you see day to day, you hear on Google or read in the news. It's just absolutely bonkers. You hear some parts of the business who are maybe like in need of some serious investment, where they've got legacy systems that, quite frankly, wouldn't look too bad out of a 1980s horror movie. But like a lot of people now are getting to a point where they're seeing the light and kind of modernizing. That's systems, that's people. People are becoming understanding of what they're doing. We can have conversations now. It's like, well, are you data driven? And they kind of go, yeah, well, we do get information from this place. And I'm like, good, you know what you're talking about. Like there is, but there's a lot of legacy out there as well. There's a lot of legacy out there that's slowly kind of been identified. And there's huge things in the team, the wider technical team, technology team that data sits in had amazing attitude towards doing what is right for the organization and the members who ultimately own it, because it is a cooperative. There's no shareholders. It's just members. We did our announcements for how much we did and how big our members are like last week, and it was quids in. Like it's really good.
Yeah, really,
It's one
really
of it's one of those things. We've got like millions of members kind of thing. But it's something that's important to people. So we have a culture of like, it's good for what's good for the organization. It's good for everyone who's involved in it. It doesn't happen to be people who just work in it. It's the people who ultimately we're working for to be better for the world.
Yeah. That sort of leads me to the other part that I thought you were far too modest about. You're in a leadership role and you're doing, I think, phenomenal things as a leader. And it strikes
Thanks.
me that I mean, it's I've got loads of stuff in front of me that just like it's like just gold. All of it is like, yeah. And I think it starts with you care about people. Like you massively like overextend on that front, and that makes a huge difference as a leader. And with that many people in an organization, I've been in big companies and had big companies as clients. It can be really hard to get anything done. So the whole people part of leading it is crucial. So I wonder, what's it like for you being a leader in co-op?
Challenging in the right ways. Challenging in the right ways. It's a big organization. So you get some of the similar tropes that you get in there. You occasionally get politics. There's occasionally things that you have to do. There's the side of it where you have to justify things. You have to say why you're doing certain things, why you're building certain things, why things look the way they do to people who probably don't really understand enough what's going on. Like it's everything that a normal data team does. At the same time, the benefit of it is that there is a culture of absolute, we're doing the best possible value. One of the attitudes is do what matters most, and one of the core values of the organization is do what matters most, and we do what matters most, because the reality is there are some people who are needing data work or tech work, or the systems that are put in place, or the pipelines that are feeding into that are providing things like Co-op Live or funeral care systems, where it speaks volumes about the kind of people who are going to need those systems at some point. Like it's a big thing. So actually, the leadership can be tough. Like you said, it's a big organization. Caring for absolutely everyone is important. I find it's an attitude I have to take towards building a framework and cultivating a framework towards how I behave with people. It's less about being the care bear and putting your arm around every person, because you can. But if every conversation is safe, if every conversation is detailed and we know what we're going into, and if every conversation is documented and we know what we're coming away from, it helps to make sure people, the care bear side of me, can look after people without having to put my arm around someone. It forces a kind of good attitude towards it. And actually, it's not an unknown attitude at Co-op. We know we care about our people. That's why we work here.
Yeah. And I think it's something that most leaders would say, that it strikes me there's this saying, to be cruel to be kind. You don't have to be cruel, but you might have to be realistic. You might have to be direct. You might have to be things that are not the kind of you're not going to dance around an issue. You have to do the right thing and do that in a caring way. And I see that coming across in what you do as well. People listening, it might not be, they don't know you as well as I do. They haven't sort of read your background, and you call yourself, I'm reading it here. So Titan in Tweed is one of the things. Talker of mental health and neurodiversity, and loser of pens, and endorser of all things witty.
Yeah.
These say a lot about you as a person and how you go about things. I'd like to dive into the neurodiversity topic, because that's actually where I saw you first. I saw you speak on it. Absolutely awesome. Blunt and very open to say whatever you wanted as a speaker in front of a big audience was entirely refreshing. So, tell us a little bit about that and how your journey and how you think you can help other people through your role or wider.
Yeah, for sure, man. I love talking neurodivergence more than anything, because it's always one that data and tech folks relate to, but it's something that every time I talking to someone else, they're like, yeah, that's weirdly relatable. So I'm old guard. I'm ADHD. I've got ADHD, probably some substantive autism in there, like where occasionally I'm quite socially blind to things. I describe it as social color blindness. People who get the weird, intricate management speak at the big meetings, and I'm like, I don't really get what you're just be blunt about it, just straight to the point. It's nice and easy. I don't have to dance around fuzziness. So I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was like yay high, when I was 7 or 8, many years ago. So I'm kind of old guard when it comes down to this. I've always kind of advocated for myself. It's been very tough over the years, because it's always been ADHD, neurodivergence has always been seen as like, it's the naughty boys condition. It's what they'll be like. And I think you'll remember from the session I did, you saw some of the comments that people like myself and I've had in my life where it's like, oh, get used to asking people, do you want fries with that? Like for the rest of your career. And it's like, this is stuff that people do here. It's awful, but it's stuff that
Yeah.
people do here and people don't get it. People are threatened. All you have to do is, pardon the political kind of statement, all you have to do is look at the anti-vax movement where it's like, oh, the vaccines cause autism. They don't. Like
Mm.
it's black and white. They don't. Don't be an idiot about it. But like there's a genuine fear of neurodivergence, like in some way, shape, or form that we are broken or we are problems. It gives me great pleasure and love to see so many more people speaking up about their needs, their wants, their experiences as a neurodivergent person. That could be dyslexia, dyscalculia, OCD, Tourette's, ADHD, ASC, ASD, whatever we call it these days. Like how many more different things we've got under there, and these people who speak up proudly as much as I do about it. It brings me such love and wonder that we're doing it finally.
It's definitely a big change.
It is it's a big change because it's I think the joke I made was like engineers and analysts have a bit of a stereotype when there's so many of us around, like we have a bit of a stereotype that kind of comes with it, but actually it's really important to do. So it's led me to be the human being I am and lets me be the madman I am sometimes as well.
Well, it feels like you're in good company. The stat that I remember from the event was, I think 1 in 10 in the general population, neurodivergent, and 3 in 5
3
in
and 5.
software and
Yeah,
data.
60% of us, 60% of us neurodivergent, which can be really interesting because obviously it causes certain dynamics, but it gets quite interesting then when you get folks who aren't, who don't really recognize that they're the odd ones out. And it sounds really bad, but it's just like actually you're the outsiders in our weird little world right now, and
Yeah.
it can be the difference, the cultural differences is quite interesting to see when that happens. And I've definitely had it at least once in my career where the team is mostly neurodivergent and other people are not, and you kind of like,
It
ooh,
was
you are
classic at the event, a big room full of people. There was 150 people or so, and I
quite a
definitely
lot.
saw everyone doing a little quick, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it
quite a
counts.
limit." It's like,
Yeah. You see it all the time. People sit there, and go, "Holy crap, that's a lot." Hang on, like it's like the stereotype you get. It's where you look around the room, 9 out of 10 people will pass this class, kind of thing. It's very much the same thing, and you kind of sit there. Well, like people relate to it. People relate to it, and they kind of go, "That's me."
yeah. And I definitely, I saw people afterwards, come up to talk to you, and just to engage on that level, and and maybe start their own journey, and start their own their own company acceptance of their skill set. And one of the things that I see you post a lot about, and with some I think reluctance for the title, that kind of superpower, neurodivergent as a superpower. And I know you're not a fan of it, and I wonder if you could dig into that for a second, and the benefits. Clearly,
Yeah, for sure.
if you use your own skill set, there is a benefit to whatever you bring to the table.
Yeah, like I have an issue with with toxic positivity in general, and I often find people who describe neurodivergence as a superpower to be quite irritatingly toxically positive. Like, hey, everything's always good all the time. It's not. It's hard work being ADHD. Like, I take too much on. I pick things up that are hard work. I do a lot for other people. It can be quite emotionally draining to be ADHD, to be neurodivergent, like in one way, shape, or form. Or if you have to mask an awful lot, which I do sometimes, it can be absolutely knackering, for lack of a better
Yeah,
phrase. Like these are the disadvantages. The advantages of it are that you can focus, you think bigger than just this point. Like you'll fidget, you'll do things, but you'll figure things out. Like you've got almost a natural proclivity. I don't know of many neurodivergent people who aren't naturally predisposed to problem solving because they've had to figure themselves out. So it's natural for us.
and quite comfortable in getting lost in it. Yeah,
Oh yeah, spectacularly. Like the amount of hyper focus. It's like 3 a.m. things where my wife walked in through the door and kind of going, "Are you coming to bed?" And I'm like, look at the time and like I've done something, or like I've been reading, or like I've been gaming, or I've been like coding something, like, and I just get lost in this is just absolute hyper focus. There's nothing else in my brain bar this thing that I have
yeah,
to solve or do or enjoy or whatever it is. Like it can be like that, but again, that can get overwhelming because you can get hyper focus on multiple things, and it's like
ignoring.
almost an obsession in the back of your brain that goes, you need to do this thing right now, and that can be hard to manage. That can be hard both to manage as an individual, but like as a leader, that can be hard to manage when it's other people. And so there's a big education piece there that I try my hardest to do, to try and have
Yeah.
that kind of.
And it probably helps enormously to be able to spot it and be aware of it and see that in your team. I wonder then, if we move a little bit onto tech and things that you're into, what have you been digging into lately? What sort of has got your attention in the tech world?
In the tech world, I am at the minute weirdly fascinated by natural language processing. Not LLMs or anything necessarily hardcore, because I have some grumpiness about AI sometimes.
Probably the big
I'm
cause.
I am a luddite when it comes to AI. Like I think AI is cool. I'm just like I sit there and I see like the social ramifications, and I'm like, God, I hate this.
Yeah,
But it's one of those natural language processing, kind of like from a purely technical data perspective. There's been and it's probably less the tech itself and more about the application thereof. One of the big things that I've been thinking of for the longest time is how irritating it is to have to turn around to 7 people and say, hey, what's going on with X data? And actually there's going to come a point very, very soon over the next few years where natural language processing takes over in a big way the interactivity of end users to platforms and processes. Like, hey,
yeah,
this data seems wrong. Is everything running okay that I've typed in or I've vocalized and it's gone,
yeah,
no, one of the pipelines has fallen over. This is because SAP has failed to load something. And it tells you instantly what the problem is. And rather than just because SAP has fallen over, but it then sits there and goes, I have informed Jim in SAP that there has been a problem. And this was informed of him. And it'll tell you what's going on. And you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to have that. Like, that's got my interest at the minute because that's been the missing link of tech teams for probably 30 years. And data teams, with everything's been resolved around dashboards and reports. And actually, we've been sitting there screaming about translators into data in the tech world for the longest time. It's here. It's now. And we've got the
I feel
power,
very
compute, and the maturity to do it.
Yeah, I feel very similar feeling about the kind of data input and system record keeping side of things. The kind of mouse and the kind of capture of information. It's very backwards. I mean, it's really slow. It's really, it's arcane typing it in. Whereas I think if you observing the world, listening, gathering signals and stats, it's the potential's amazing. So
It can be.
I think the actual the game changer probably will be the natural language processing, or the what people think of the LLMs, the context, understanding what's going on.
Yeah,
That's
and it's that training towards it. Like I talked to the data science, talked to some of the data science guys at Co-op, or like even friends who are data scientists, and some of the things they come out with about what they're using it for is absolutely stunning. It's absolutely just phenomenal that they've got these things. And it's all trained on internal data, so it only gives them
right.
back. And I think the next big thing will be the same thing that kind of data went through 10 years ago, which was people bring multiple reports to a business and like, well, why have we all got different numbers?
Yeah,
How do you build that confidence? How do you build that tech understanding of how do you build that trust? Like that's going to be the next big thing for LLMs because in a minute, like I've been to a lot of conferences, I've been to a lot of places, a lot of talks where people are like, these are the best things in the world. Look at this tokens. Haha, it's amazing. Great, cool. It's still giving me bullshit back.
yeah,
Like it's
because
still,
they're
I
very
still
small
can't tell, like, yeah, I still can't sit there, type in and go, give me my daily sales. And it comes up and says 1.7 million. And I go, I don't think I sold 1.7 million
Yeah, not at
yesterday.
my lemonade stand. And no, that was
Yeah,
happening.
exactly. And like, yeah, okay, that's hyperbolic and like a bit ridiculous, but actually that's what people worry about. Like, and if I as a data person worry about that, what are the C-suite going to worry about in an organization of any size? They're going to worry that it's giving them BS back, and they don't want
Yeah,
that. They want confidence and trust in what they're building, the same way data engineers do on a day-to-day basis. Governance and quality make sure that we do. Data science puts things out.
exactly. Yeah,
You have to make sure the
exactly.
maths is right. And if you sit there and go, well, it's a bit of a black box, don't worry too much about it. They'll
No,
look at you and
no
go,
one's going to trust that.
absolutely not. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
It's really funny because everyone's focus is on like these agents. I think of them as like the apps, mobile apps world. Everyone's building one. Everyone needed one, and in fact, I am totally biased. Let's face it. I'm in a data company that we move data. We build trust in the data. We're very much what I think is we have a tailwind of AI because our bit's going to be more important. We're going to be gathering data and helping people trust it and organize it. Obviously the demand at the front end is only going to drive that even harder. And I think everyone in the data world kind of feels like that, and a little bit of frustration going, but guys, the real work's back here where you're not
And
looking.
it's been a common problem forever and a day. It's been a common problem forever and a day. And like 95% of people, 99% of people's use cases are probably going to, at least for the next 5 years, going to be a data warehousing problem. It's going to be, give me my data set that tells me how I did yesterday. That's all people want to know, or show me where my problems are, or do a bit of discovery around. It's going to remain the same. You've got really cool things like Databricks' Genie AI BI stuff that you can sit there, type things in, and it builds a dashboard for you based on your data and things like that, which I think will be massive to my interest in NLP. But I also think there's a bit of it. There's a bit of over enthusiasm, like all things, when everyone sat there and went, "Oh, big data will do everything," and then we went, "Okay, big data needs a big thing," and then cloud computing will do everything, and then this thing, and this hype cycle continues on. And AI, agentic AI. The problem with agentic AI is I always think of Hugo Weaving with his cool glasses from the 1990s. But like with agentic AI, it's going to be very specific towards things. And you had the CEO of Shopify, I think it was, turning around today saying, I demand to know why your job can't be done by AI, or like why you can't use more AI. And it's like, well, mate, because most of the time you don't know what you're talking about because you're not a subject matter expert, but the people who do haven't got the tools or the education or the understanding, and also they fear for their jobs. Like, until you can create a safe environment that people are going to be okay doing this stuff, they won't do it for you. So it is a tough one, but I think there's some cool stuff that will come up from the agentic world. It's just, how expensive will it be to do, and will it still be easier and cheaper than for a normal human being to do it?
And I think that's the reality, is that for a very long time, any job with enough effort could be automated away.
Yeah.
But the capturing what you want that job to do and what, the rules around it, excruciatingly difficult in a lot of circumstances. So one of the sort of possibilities of the agentic AI type world is it's a lot easier for someone to program it, for someone to control it.
Yeah, there's a meme
really badly for a patch.
But like there's a meme of the software engineers when AI started coming out. It's like, don't worry, boys. Like they've still got to figure out how to tell us exactly what they want, because end users still can't. Like they still can't. I just want a dashboard, but you're automating a process. Yeah, but I want a dashboard. It's not automating a process. Like it's like, but I'm going to automate these processes. Or like, you think about how many data nerds start to cut their teeth on, or whatever the term is, like on VBA, and that didn't do what we wanted it to do, but we made it, and we had to force it, and we have to use brute force. Like, there's a reason. There's also the like quite a critical attitude sometimes taken. Some of my peers have got it where, the kids who come out of uni now just throw compute at things, and it's like, because that's what will happen. You'll have the end users who just sit there and go, yeah, I can do this, and it's automated. Yeah, but it's costing £1,000 a week to run, and so like your salary times that by 16, and you've got hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of costs at the end of it that people go, that it gets hand waved away with AI at the moment. We say, don't worry about that. The ramifications will be immense. Okay, but I'm a CFO who's looking at that going, expensive. Justify what you're up to.
Exactly. And that does sort of touch on one of the sort of my pet interests. I like to think about like the scale of people's problems. Like, if I'm talking to a company with a handful of employees and lots of widgets, it's very different to a co-op where there's just lots and lots of things. And again, the scale of processing that is kind of interesting to me. So how much data are we talking about sort of floating around your domain? And how successful are they at the kind of warehousing?
Lots. We're going through quite a drastic transformation at the moment anyway, to kind of modernize a lot of our own stack, moving into much more serverless approaches, being able to accept streaming, IoT kind of things. So yeah, there is an inordinate amount. I can't tell you exactly how much there is, but there is an inordinate amount of data. We're actually pretty good when it comes down to across the whole organization. It will be petabytes, because it's just that kind of org. We're pretty good, actually. We've got quite a hardcore data governance team who are really shit hot on the retention schedules. So we don't have ridiculous sums of data floating around inside a swamp. It's just like, and if we've got stuff from 2009 still in there, no, actually they're pretty good with that. So we don't have huge swaths of data floating around. But what we do have is lots of data, very, very complicated data that we've had to link together, like trying to figure out who people were before we had integrated systems, and like customer platforms and things that are being modernized whilst we're improving them. Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. But also, it's the bread and butter of what we're doing for. It's what we're paid for. We're bloody good at it as well, if I'm frank. And the team are incredible.
And I think that point about archiving off or deleting, or the management of data, that seems to be this sort of hype cycle and the trends of technologies. A little plug: I've got a LinkedIn Live event on cloud cost in a couple of weeks. The point of bringing that up is that reason I'm talking about that is that when cloud first arrived, there was this explosion of cost as everyone started to use it for everything. And they need some governance around it. Similar with your kind of cloud data warehouses, similar with all your SaaS tools and your kind of,
Yep.
it's really easy for these things to get out of control. And that discipline of being really good at managing it is one of the best ways.
There was a guy. I spoke at Data Engineers London, November of last year. I think in November, October last year it was. There was a guy, Graham, who was speaking about data redundancy, and like all you have to do is think about, like I always think about. I'm a dude who can talk in GIFs and memes an awful lot. If I save something on my phone and send it to 4 people, it's then saved on their phone, saved into their cloud.
Yeah.
That level of dissemination is a perfect, like, silly iteration of this kind of process. Even in organizations, we do that, where because we've got to be compliant with things, we've got to save it in S3 and ADLS Gen 2. Like, okay, why? Because we've been told to. Right, fine, great. But then your cloud costs go up, but then you've got compute, and it's, are you doing the right thing? We're figuring out at the moment where, like, the perfect bandwidth for our current platform is, like, and we're saving money by the fact that we're not having to compute loads and loads of things, or we're not rebuilding lots and lots of things. It's just delta loads rather than just like full loads from old systems. Like, it's, you got it. Like, and it's all stuff that's really, really good for data, but very often the costs that happen didn't need to happen in the first place if we were given the time to kind of design and build the things that were necessary at the time. But when does an org ever let you do that?
There is a trade-off, right? I wonder, it feels like the one fine day, your data team's sitting there happily building stuff, and the CFO arrives and you guys are burning too much of whatever it is, whether it's your ETL tool or your warehouse or, so, okay. The trade-off is you could have engineered it a lot better. You could spend the time engineering it, but an incremental model might take several man days, but only costs you several man days over a month. So you're like, well, how do we weigh that up? Do you dedicate people to it? Do you how do you go about making that kind of sensible decision? Do you leave it to your team? Like, what do you?
I think it's about discovery. It's about actual doing discovery properly. We're so keen as tech nerds to just stick our faces into it and go, we've got this cool thing that will do everything, and we kind of go, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, okay, great, sledgehammer, nut analogy. Like, you don't need all singing, all dancing. Sometimes a batch process just needs a batch process, like, and it doesn't need all this kind of madness that comes with it. That's something that has to kind of come culturally for that. That doesn't mean you can't innovate on things. You can innovate things, you can change, you can iterate things. But I think it all does start with the discovery process. So many data teams, so many people who I speak to as peers, as colleagues, as people who sit in the same industry, comes down to the fact that discovery doesn't get done properly, and it's just it'll just be this data, like, just wedge it through, and like, it's just, no one's given either the time or the respect to be able to discover the work that actually needs to be done properly. And some of it is just it's an API. Okay, everyone's been using APIs for quite a while now, so we know how it works. But what does that model then need to look like underneath? What are the principles that we're going to be using to govern what that data actually looks like? How are we going to put that together? Like, we don't get time to do that very often, and the teams that do are then seen as being too slow, where actually they're being methodical about how they do things. So I think there's trade-offs, but I think it's the cultural, the bullshit cultural thing that came from American Silicon Valley, this move faster, break things, actually doesn't work. It doesn't work because all it does is actually, the compensation of that is burning people out, giving people mental health problems, making them wake up and they walk into their office first thing, or they walk into their home office first thing and go, shit, what am I going to see today, man? Like, that is far more damaging to a team and an individual than actually just spending a couple of days making sure that your batch load works, your incremental load's done properly. But people aren't allowed to do that because got to add value, and value's grand up until it all goes wrong because the central person who's been building that has gone off sick. Like, so I think it's hard to sit there and say it's one specific thing, but it is quite a few of them, that's for sure.
Well, that feels like an absolutely awesome point to leave it on. By all means, innovate, but spend the time on discovery. Don't burn your team out. I mean, they feel like great things to live by. So
it's easy things, but hard things to talk about.
Indeed. Right. Thank you very much.